Oh, we drafted. Oh, we drafted. Let's get into it, fellas. We're opening up the 7 spot. I'm going to be all over Puka there. I think Puka's going to have an insane season this year, to be quite honest. Let me get this thing set up. And we'll be ready to rock and roll. Obviously, taking Puka is going to put me a lot more into ATL later in the draft. You're looking at a guy that is being caught by the Kyle Pitts trap time and time again, but I'm here to do it. All right. Let's get this set up just in case OBS wants to crash on me. I'll know, and I'll know quick. All right. Uh-oh. We got a crazy man on our hands. Puka over CMC. We got a maniac. And I'm doing it, and I'm doing it right. Now, I mean, going Nico over McCaffrey, I mean, is a little bit more rich for my taste. The difference to me, Nico's never averaged 4 yards per reception. No. Yards per route run. Brain's a little fried today. It's been a long day. Nico's never averaged 4 yards per route run. Puka did last year. Admittedly, he's playing less games. Smaller sample size is going to lead to some outrageous results. But the reality is that Puka was a receiver that came into the league and took it by storm. Last year was an injury-filled season, and we've seen how good Puka is when healthy. Give me another year added to that, another year added to development, another year with Stafford. Hopefully, if Stafford gets his, back soreness set, I'll be all accounts go on Puka Nacua this year. So I'm always happy to draft him in that 7-8 spot. If we somehow get Brian Thomas at the next one, more than happy about that too. By all accounts, we won't. I don't hate A.J. Brown by any means. Hurts is at 44 these days. Could line up well at 42. What is Devonta Smith doing if I do want to do my crazy little Philly stack? I mean, either way, I'm going to go A.J. Brown. I've talked at length about how I expect the Eagles to increase their passing. Not by an insane amount. And to be quite honest, they're not even going to move to middle of the pack in terms of passing attempts this season. That's just not what's going to happen. But what isn't going to happen either is they're not going to be the 32nd team in terms of pass attempts this upcoming season. It's just not going to happen. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're not going to be 32nd in pass attempts. That's just the reality of the situation. But, when we hopefully see that positive regression to the mean in terms of their team makeup, pass run heavy wise, we're likely going to see some positives for A.J. Brown, some positives for Jalen Hurts, and some positives for Devonta Smith, and then a couple of lingering effects for Dallas Goedert, but most importantly being those 3. We don't need this team to pass the same amount of times as the Cincinnati Bengals. We just need them to pass the same amount of times as the Buffalo Bills to provide a little bit more value to their pretty elite wide receiver group that doesn't have to do too much on a weekly basis, given how good their rushing game is. But many debates going on in my head right now. I'm going to pass on Allen. Actually, no, I won't. Let's take Allen. I've never taken A.J. Brown into Josh Allen. That's just the reality of the situation here. Not what I was planning to do, but I'm more than happy to do it. It's very easy to get into the Buffalo receivers later. I especially like Khalil Shakir, and we have our Philly bring back now in A.J. Brown. We don't have to bank on getting Hurts, even though it will be fairly easy to get Hurts at 44. We don't have to, try too hard on Devonta Smith in the 50s. We can just line up some of these. I mean, I'm not taking Curtis Samuel. I do think Elijah Moore represents a little bit of opportunity if he takes like a Cole Beasley role for Josh Allen. Elijah Moore, I mean, I've spoken at how much the fucking Browns have thrown the ball the past 2 years. You can see it right there. Elijah Moore, 100 targets the past 2 seasons. Now, is he good enough to be getting 100 targets? Probably not. But he could be Cole Beasley, 80 targets, couple TDs here or there, maybe. If he does earn the slot role. While I've still invested in Keon Coleman here and there, Many people are not that expectant for Keon Coleman. Josh Palmer, great in BestBall because you assume he's going to take a deep threat role in this offense, but in terms of consistent target share, if Elijah Moore takes that slot role, it's going to be fairly good. If I can get Rashee Rice at 42, I'm more than happy with that. I'm going to guess 4-game suspension, but trying to predict that is a fool's gambit. Regardless of the suspension, though, Rashee Rice is an amazing wide receiver who, come fantasy playoffs, if you advance, you're going to enjoy having him on your team. I also really love Xavier Worthy with or without Rashee Rice on the field, so I'm more than happy to take either one of these two. I mean, yeah, I'll just take Rashee. 4-game suspension isn't going to scare me off just yet. If it's anything more than that, then it will be tough, admittedly, but not something I'm going to consume myself with right now. Rashee Rice is a good player. I mean, dream scenarios if you somehow get a 3-game. Not going to happen with the news that Addison got a 3-game. I expect probably 4-game for Rashee Rice. All right. Let's reorganize this. Nothing I'm too keen on, or too locked into, I suppose, not necessarily keen on at 55. I do like Ridley a fair bit. That gives us, you know, a decent upside backup to play into Josh Allen, go 2 QB with Allen and Cam Ward. Not the worst of my decisions. Does give you maybe a little bit of advanced stuff, 16 lining up with Rashee Rice. DK Metcalf, that far after ADP is fine. I mean, Cortland Sutton, if we can then get the mini with Rice Sutton, that's fantastic. I do probably have to prioritize that over DK, considering they're both ADP values at this point. Take the mini and an ADP value over just the ADP value, but I mean, this is a little bonkers to me. But yeah, we'll take Sutton and be pretty set up mini-wise. That is never something I'm going to complain about. So that feels pretty sweet. We do now have to really lock into the running back room. We may even have to just ignore Shakir, work into like Kincaid and then Palmer more later, given that we do really need to set ourselves up in this running back room. Next two picks are what? 66 and 79. So we still have a fair bit to play into here. I've talked in earlier drafts. I forced myself to fade off him a little bit because you do need to understand that while RJ Harvey offers the ceiling, he also comes with a lot of risk. I don't want to overindulge myself in that risk, especially this early without a super clear definition of the depth chart. But I'm fine with any of these top 4 running backs at our next pick, quite honestly. More likely than not, we will be going running back. It's what, 79? 79 will be tough. I don't necessarily want to take Mixon at 80 right now. I'd rather play into him at a better ADP value. And I'm not going to reach on Paul or anything. So we may just be taking Shakir and getting the stack for Allen, being a little bit thinner at running back, hopefully getting some value out of that position later. I'm more than happy to take DeAndre Swift here. I think he has a fair bit of value. I think he's a little bit underrated. He's just a good running back. I think this system will help him, you know, see a couple more TDs, we would hope. And I'm not too threatened. I do like Roschon Johnson as a handcuff, but I think Swift has a pretty firm grasp of this backfield. I'm always happy to take him in this range. No San Francisco right now to line up into it, but who's to say we can't do that later? I do think, I keep saying it a lot, so this draft will certainly be one where I, you know, show that I can stick to my own ideology here. I need to cool off a little bit on Ayuk. Like, I just get into the habit. I like him as a player more than the people around him, but you have to realize, like, most of the time, the effect he's going to have on your advance rate is pretty negative. And especially after taking someone like Rashee Rice, can't really bring myself to do it. Laporta is not a bad value tight end here if they're Yeah, I don't think I want to take Mixon. At 90, the board should be pretty fine at running back at 90. We can take Warren if we have to. Maybe we get a little bit lucky with Mixon there. I mean, Mason there. Yeah, we'll just take Shakir, close out on our 5th wide receiver, have a pretty healthy wide receiver room, and a prime stack for Josh Allen. I'm more than happy with that. And then the next pick will assuredly be running back. Hopefully we can get a value here. If not, we will just have to really play into our later picks priority-wise. 90, 103 into 114. I mean, Dobbins at 103 offers a fair bit of upside if he does beat out RJ Harvey. We will get there. By all accounts, though, a running back value in this point of the draft would be fairly massive for us. I don't think we can take on Darrell Mooney or anything like that. I think it just puts us too far behind at running back. B-Rob I'd be more than happy with. I view him as kind of a potential David Montgomery play this year. Fair amount of TDs, goal line work, and a good offense. B-Rob goes. Considering ETN here, but I don't love it. This is admittedly tough. I don't think you can justify Mahomes after taking Allen. What we likely have to do is just eat the bye week 5, hope that Warren does a lot in the beginning of the year to get us some value in terms of advance rate, and then we're going to need to take some super high ceiling running backs for 15, 16, 17 later in the draft. I really like, don't get me wrong, Mahomes is cool. We'd be insanely set at quarterback, but I think it's too far a detriment to the rest of your roster to really justify it, especially after taking Josh Allen at pick 31. This next pick, we can hopefully land Dobbins, who also does potentially scope out to be kind of a running back who can fill in admirably in week 5. Unless RJ Harvey is a complete bust, you do expect Dobbins to be someone that, unless we see an injury later in the season, is going to be more valuable in the early half than the later half. There's nothing to say that Sean Payton can't run a committee, but traditionally he has not been a coach to do so, and I do think, given the, by all accounts, reach he made on RJ Harvey this year, he scopes out to me to be, you know, an RJ Harvey guy, similar to how he was a Bo Nix guy last year. Bo Nix at this pick is a little bit more stomachable, but I think we just need to take any even slight RB value we can get. The draft does not want me to get there, though. I'm not going to be baited. I have his prime target. It's playing into a matchup that we already have our eyes set on. This is admittedly something I'm almost never going to do, but I don't love Scattaboo. I'm always going to take the later of the two Giants running backs right now. I do like Charbonnet a fair bit, but not enough to reach on him there when I can get a value on Nick's closeout quarterback and be able to focus in on the rest of the draft. After taking Nix, we do kind of have a slight like must draft on Evan Ingram if we get the ADP value on him. But again, what I need is the rest of the lobby to stop running back sniping me. To be fair, at this stage of the season, we are off, now into the season. At this stage of the preseason, we're still very early. I'm of the opinion later running backs until we get much closer to the season are the play. Like, I'll go 7 times out of 10. Like, someone's going to get hurt. That's the unfortunate nature of football and the preseason and training camp. You just kind of got to hope that it isn't your guys that end up in that spot. While I don't love Scatterboo, I will take the value on him. I am forced to take Evan Ingram, though, after taking Bo Nix, admittedly. Okay. Don't have to worry about that. You can hopefully get one of these running backs at this next pick. Be fairly happy about it. I would assume that this one running back team will take one of them. We'll just take the other and hopefully get some semblance of value. We are at the point of the draft. Tajay Spears ain't bad. I kind of view him... I don't know. He's okay. He's a slight value at times. A decent enough handcuff. But I don't love him. I'm more than happy to take Scatterboo. There's a chance that Scatterboo pans out into a much better player this year than I expect him to be. I personally view a lot of struggles with the Giants offense this year. I don't think they're going to be that amazing. I think it's kind of hard for me to bet on a rumbling, tumbling, big body back in an offense that doesn't scope out to be that well. Like even when Derrick Henry was on the Tennessee Titans, they were like a middle of the pack team, not a worst team in the league team. So that's kind of the issue I have with Scatterboo. But slight ADP value on a team that needs running backs. Just kind of got to do it. Stevenson ain't bad. He does, I believe... Yeah, he played Buffalo 15, so that'd be fine. I think Stevenson is admittedly a pretty damn good value in most drafts. Not only is he a good handcuff in an offense that people expect to improve, I think he's going to have a pretty decent enough role in this offense like throughout the season. I don't think Stevenson goes away. I do think like this is a offense that I perceive to be like the Steelers, where Henderson should take over towards the end of the year, but I think Stevenson will be a nuisance to a lot of fantasy managers this year. I don't think I can take Judkins. I mean, we do line up for like a Pitt mini there, but as happy as I was to take him early in the season, I'm getting a lot more concerned now. But I do need to remind myself, this is just the reality of where I'm at. This is the BBM. You're playing to win it all. If Judkins does play this season, 127 is a hell of a value. And on a team that we need running backs, him playing would have a very large impact on us. But I don't think you need to trap yourself into that ideology too much. Would love Javonte Williams, Ray Davis, or Tootin at this next pick. We aren't going to take Penix. We ended up missing on... Where did he end up going? Kincaid at 121 is very interesting. 3 tight ends already. Is certainly a move. I personally... Honestly, Goddard is one that could sway me. I don't think I can justify it. Getting Williams or Tootin here just feels much higher impact given our running back room than taking Goddard, especially when the drop-off from Goddard to much later tight ends is not that significant. Admittedly, though, Goddard does play into Josh Allen and Shakir for us, which is a very big, important thing to consider. We'll see who's on the board here, though. We could maybe go Brown. There's some justification with the Rashee Rice suspension. He still could have some deep TD value later in the season. He goes as well. Yeah, we'll just take Tootin. It's fine by me. There's a significant likelihood that Tootin is still somehow the back to play this year, despite them drafting... Why am I blanking on Blood's name? Despite drafting Bigsby last year, Bigsby having a good season, despite the existence of Travis Etienne, who does scope out, admittedly, to be a running back that you expect Liam Cohen would like, they still put capital in Tootin. Like, that has to mean something to us. He does still need to earn the spot, but you never know. And we kind of need some upside plays later into the season, given how weak this running back room is right now. I'm going to guess... I mean, as ugly as they are, we are at 5 running backs. Can you justify Dylan Sampson at this point of the season after taking Quinshon Judkins? That's an interesting question that I do have to pose to myself. Getting him this much later after ADP, certainly. Let me have a serious conversation with myself about the range in which you draft Quinshon Judkins at this point. I mean, it's over 10 picks later that you get Trey Benson, who could be a dud. Alright, I don't have to consider it too hard. I'm just trying to concoct in my head other running backs in his range. How likely are they to be complete duds? Most of them I don't think very likely in the same category. If they were, you can justify Sampson more after taking Judkins, but since they aren't, I don't think you can. I do love Rachaad White, and I do need some value at running back. Admittedly, though, Tyler Algier does play well into Puka. We missed on Pitts. Essentially going to be one of only 2 ATL minis that we could snag into Puka. Despite that, though, I don't necessarily think that Algier is like a prime play into Puka. And I like Rachaad White more anyway. He is off the board. We can close out at running back. Admittedly, a fairly... a running back room I don't love too much. If Judkins plays, we're in a prime spot. If Tootin wins the backfield over, we can be good. If Scadaboo is a much better player than I expect him to be, we can get some value out of that. We do need to solve the tight end room right now. Quarterback should be fairly set given the players we're at right now. We could take some deep Denver stuff with Pat Bryant. I don't think I'm going to take Troy Franklin. If we end up getting very pinned down at wide receiver, I'll queue him up just so I don't forget about him. By all accounts, we need to figure out this tight end room. Likely certainly gives us a fair amount of upside. So I don't hate him, even despite the fact that he doesn't play into anything for us. We're going to be a 3 tight end team, more likely than not. So taking the ceiling on likely is something I'm happy to do. Hunter Henry can be fine, since he does play into Buffalo 15. Maybe give us a little bit of something there. Just in terms of advancing in the later weeks. Not the worst idea. None of these quarterbacks are on our mind right now. I don't think we play into like Ertz, anything like that. Yeah, we'll just go likely. I think the upside, especially at this point of the draft, outweighs the injury risk. The injury risk that I have concerns with more often than not are the players that you're going to be drafting in like 50 to like 85 that scope out to be later into the season. I think that's where you get into the real problems of this player's injured and my ADP investment really, my team suffers because of the ADP investment with them still on the mend as you get more and more weeks into the season. What tight ends could work for us here? I mean, Gesicki's still going to be great. We don't play into Miami for Otten. We don't end up, even though I've mentioned Ramondre and Hunter Henry, we don't have any New England for Mason Taylor to play into. Elijah Arroyo. I mean, you do have a game 16 with LA. I do like the player. Okonkwo does play KC during one of the advanced weeks. We'll just take value. I'm not going to worry too much about game stacking these later tight ends. I don't think we need Eckler or Ford. We likely just stack further into Denver. While I'm not a huge fan of Pat Bryant, we get an ADP value on him. And there's a small chance that he gets a larger role than people expect. Public ADP usually is fairly sharp. That definitely applies closer to the season than it does further to the season. But I'm personally not a fan of Troy Franklin. I don't think Vele is exceptional receiver. I think there's a lot of opportunity in the Denver receiving room right now. I've seen some things about people overrating Marvin Mims. I still like Marvin Mims a fair bit, but if I'm wrong about Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant offers a lot of opportunity. We get a double into Bo Nix, which is fairly nice. Remaining picks, we know 2 of these are going to be tight end. We have 1 more open. Probably going to be Ray McCloud, or I guess another Denver receiver with the final pick. That'll be fine. Unless we see a massive running back value, I think we do just have to sit at 6 running back. 7 running back usually isn't too ideal. Given our current running back room, though, that's hard to say with a straight face. If we can get Gesicki here, I'll feel real good about it. Cincinnati's going to throw the ball a ton. Yes, Noah Fant's on the team right now. That doesn't impact Gesicki's receiving workload like at all to me, especially after the contract that they just gave him. Close out the next pick with one of these tight ends. My buddy Holden is a big Mason Taylor fan. I can't get behind it too much, but any of these tight ends are going to be a value at the next pick, so whichever is there, if they happen to be there, makes more than enough sense. And we could angle into bye week 9 instead of 2 bye week 10 tight ends by taking Taylor. Admittedly, I've said it before, all of the tight ends in this range to me are the same thing. With that said, Taylor, I guess, does offer the highest upside out of them if the Jets' offense is better than we expect. It's a tough sell for me. And if Fields happens to, target Taylor more than we expect, another sort of tough sell for me, admittedly. Yeah, I mean, no one else plays into any games for us. I mean, maybe you could take Terrence Ferguson much later, but I'm going to be more than happy to take Ray McCloud. And we'll go Mason Taylor here. And then finish off the draft with likely Ray McCloud. Get our only Atlanta stacking into Puka. But it can be more than fine. I think Ray McCloud's underrated. Should have a decent role in the offense throughout the season and has a fair bit of upside if you see any injury or just some random pop-off lucky-ass game later into the season. That's kind of usually the player I want to play into in these much later rounds. Someone that is going to have a decent sized role throughout the season to maybe outperform ADP by themselves while still maintaining a nice touch of ceiling in the later weeks for you to give you that real boom in BBM. We can do the review as we wait. Start off the pick 7. Went Puka. I love Puka this year. Into A.J. Brown, planning to maybe look at Jalen Hurts at 42, but we do get Josh Allen at 31, and I have yet to go Brown into Allen, so I was more than happy to start off doing that. Get a Rashee Rice value here. Ended up getting a fantastic value out of Sutton after going Rice, so we then immediately get the mini there. Into Swift, we definitely needed a lot more running backs. Most of them that we were looking at kind of go off the board. I didn't really want to reach on Jones, Mason, or take Mixon there at that pick. Close this out with Ray. So we kind of got stuck. Not completely stuck. Getting Shakir to stack into Josh Allen is by no means a bad decision. Had to take Jalen Warren here, in my opinion, just because we needed running backs. While I'm not a massive Jalen Warren fan, he could maintain a larger role than I expect this year and provide a lot of value for us throughout the season in terms of advance rate. It's kind of hard for me to see him popping off later when you really need it most in BBM. If we had managed to get Brian Robinson 3 picks later, I mean, this team would be feeling a lot better to me. Take Bo Nix. Again, we needed some running backs, but Dobbins and ETN go off the board. And Bo Nix, we already knew. We had Courtland Sutton. We're playing into KC. Might as well take a quarterback in that game. Also sets us up fairly well. We don't need another quarterback. Can sit at 2 for the rest of this draft and try and build out the rest of our running back room. I'm not a big Scatterboo fan, but we needed running backs. If by chance he happens to win the backfield, these are the kind of backfields you want to target, the ones that are a little bit murky, uncertain. Who knows who's going to get the leg up between him and Tracy. I'm always going to be kind of the person that takes the later of those 2 options, but, to be fair, Scatterboo is okay here. It's just a big body back like that and a poor offense is hard sell for me. Judkins, I've been drafting a lot less of, but this running back room is a tough scene. So if Judkins does play, this team gets a massive boost. Bashal Tootin could take over the backfield. It's another murky backfield right now, just like the same thing with Scatterboo. and he did get the investment this year. Rachaad White, I think, is one of the best running back values in most drafts. He's going to maintain a great role, have a fair bit of play if there's ever an injury to the man above him. Rachaad White is going to step in very admirably. Isaiah Likely, we need tight ends. Likely has a lot of week-to-week ceiling, especially once he's back and healthy. Gesicki, another great, just consistent option with how much Cincinnati's going to throw the ball. Pat Bryant stacking into Bo Nix. Mason Taylor, it's upside. He's a rookie tight end. I don't love it, but 3 tight ends. If he gives us a little bit of value, we take a dub there. And Ray McLeod for the final week play into Puka Nacua, and I also think he has a fair bit of play during the season. But that's it for this draft. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. See you soon. Peace.